Homan podcast time.
That's right. Binford Tools is proud to present a Santa Clauses podcast. My name is Adam. Y'all know my co-host Jordan. Good morning, Jordan.
Top of the morning to you, Adam. How's it going?
It's going well. We've recorded, 250 episodes. This has got to be one of our earliest recording times.
This is a unique one because, you've got travel plans and the timing works out that we had to wake up bright and early to record. You talked about doing like a midnight release, but it turns out they didn't drop the episode until 3 Eastern time. But we wanted to get out there before like all the spoilers got out and stuff. And so here we are, and we sound a little groggy.
People are relying on us for coverage. So like if we wait a couple of weeks for me to get back, it's like, we've let
at least one person based on a donation is relying on us, and we want to deliver. So
this is true. Yeah. Normally I would wake up bright and early to watch the Santa Clauses. I've been waking up at like 3, 4, 5 a.m. to take my notes and get going. So this was old Santa hat for me, you might say.
Yeah, my alarm went off and I was like, oh, time for the Santa Clauses. It wasn't one of those things where I woke up before my alarm because I was so excited, but
it wasn't like actual Christmas Day when you're a child and you're already awake, because this is a different kind of Santa Claus delivery.
We when we were growing up, as excited kids, we were allowed to open stockings, before everyone got around. And then, maybe by like 10 or 11, parents are up and we can actually sit down and open presents. But that was our Christmas morning tradition with stockings. So.
Mm-hmm. And did you want to do our home and podcast gift exchange right now, or
on the air?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten anything from you yet, and I sent you that Al Borland cardboard cutout to scale.
Well, funny you should ask. Why don't I just pan my camera over? You see it?
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah.
Does look good. What
walls look pretty bare besides that big home and podcast logo you have framed above your bed.
I mean, if you're going to decorate your room, you want it to be something that you love.
It's true. I didn't know they were still making fat heads, but you found a Tara Noah Smith one. I'm sure they are.
Customizable fat heads. Oh, jeez.
It's going to be hard to be, and the jokes are thus far are telling. It's going to be hard to be, super funny this early.
Yeah. Well, in this episode maybe isn't super funny.
Yes. I'll be. I'm heading to the airport in about 4 hours. I'm flying to Greece for Christmas. I'm very much looking forward to it, but we wanted to get this done beforehand, so
yeah.
Here we are. That's the reason for the early recording. It's light, and I see a play area back behind you. It's still dark here in Milwaukee, so
yeah, a play area. Is that what you mean by my bed?
Ooh, naughty.
No. There's a pack and play in here, but we can take it down. My son's in his crib now. He doesn't need to sleep in here.
No. But that's a bigger conversation, one we should have on air.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the developments of my son. I mean, is he a Santa or a podcaster in training? Just like this episode. Well, you did buy
him that onesie when he was born.
I got him a little microphone.
Yeah,
he walks around with the microphone.
You got him a shirt with a baby microphone. It said, "Is this thing on?" Well, hey, Jordan, as fun as this is, we got a lot to cover today. And what is it that we are covering? We used to talk about home improvement, but now we talk about the Santa Clauses. What are we talking about specifically this week?
It said season finale, which leaves it kind of open on Disney Plus. Yeah. Chapter 6, A Christmas to Remember, which I think is easily their best title, and I didn't really want to improve upon it, but we had to for show's sake. So.
It was if it's ever easy to come up with alternative titles at about 6 a.m. this morning, it was not easy for me.
And a short time window, I don't know. Did you wake up at 4?
You like to take your walk to think of them.
I did not have time to take my walk. I did take my shower though, so that was my thinking time. So I do have 4.
Mm-hmm. I got 5. Did you want to do any background stuff first? Or?
Well, I was going to say on IMDb they don't even have a directed by on there at this point. So
let's just assume it was directed by Tim Allen.
There you go. Directed by Tim Allen. I think it shows. Written by Haley Frazier and Emily Burdett, who have written a couple episodes here. So they are wrapping up the wrapping up the show.
Do you think when they wrote this, someone had them at gunpoint and was like, you got to finish this in 12 minutes?
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Episode aired December 14th, 2022.
Okay, yeah, today. Yeah, awesome.
At 3 a.m.
Felt
Eastern
like
time.
it. Yeah.
And with that, let's do alternative titles.
Okay. I have 5.
Okay, go ahead.
Sandra Doolittle.
I like that.
Thank you.
Home, sweet home.
Liquor-ish, it time to save Christmas?
Is it?
Ish it.
Is it time? How about a Mrs. Claus that kicks?
Oh, good, yes. How about this? The name's Claus, Mrs. Claus.
Better. Much better than my Mrs. Claus. All right. How about the new North Pole normal?
You can always get what you want.
I also have a singing one. Return of the Elves once again.
My last one. A Christmas to Forget.
Oh, ouch.
Ouch. Sorry, Bernadette.
Yikes. All right. I guess that we've already shown how we feel about this episode, maybe.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go through the episode, and then I'm gonna ask you some questions about the series as a whole. Hey, let's just get into it, Jordan. This is a pretty limp finale, gotta say.
It is.
Wow. In every way.
I would say it took me probably like 12 minutes to laugh or something like that. And only Gary could do it for me. Or it was like a Gary-Tim interaction.
They're certainly giving you a lot of Gary. If you liked Gary at first, you're happy because they give you a lot of Gary in these last 2 episodes.
You would have never thought when you saw him over his maple syrup and...
I mean, I think of the kids to focus on, that's the right one. I'm still not sure necessarily I need it as much. But let's do what we do.
So we're going to open on... we're in the snow globe room. And we've got... Boy, I can't remember her name. Simon's daughter.
Grace.
Grace is kind of looking at the snow globes and seeing a Christmas memory that she treasures. And that's kind of the catalyst for the episode. That's where the episode's going to end. So if you're talking about some symmetry, I guess maybe that's good.
Yeah, it's a flashback to like him reading to her. I think is he reading The Night Before Christmas?
I don't remember the story, but yeah, they're snuggled.
Yep.
And we do learn later that it's the first Christmas without her mom. So
I was so she's in the snow globe room, which I guess as much as anything factors into this final episode. Importantly, that does, but I didn't even really remember much about this room. It was featured, kind of briefly in like episode 2, but this isn't something we've gone back to every episode, certainly, right?
No. And Cal's in there. I guess I didn't really know what the snow globes did, honestly.
Honestly, I still don't know.
They show you a memory. That's
it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Your favorite Christmas memory.
We cut to the Christmas witch, which which witch is it? She's back, thank God. Great character. She gets a feel. She knows that the Calvins are back. She goes to look for the coat in her closet, and it's gone. The door is open, and there's...
Gets a feeling a bell rings on her
Every
tree.
time a bell rings, a Christmas witch loses a coat. Okay, so the coat is gone, but there's like footprints. No one stole the coat, though, right? Like, didn't the coat just leave on its own?
Are they footprints or are they coat prints? That's the real question.
I mean, they're made to look like footprints, but the coat is on its own. And that's the end of the cold open. The cold opens, they get colder and colder, befitting of the North Pole. This, I remember the first episode. It was like half the episode. This is like 2 scenes. I don't know. It's
you skip the intro this time, or you sit through the 10 seconds of strangeness?
I saw Noel briefly.
That's all you need to see.
That's it. We cut back to Simon is kind of just like looking around. He sees the horse. He tells the horse he chews loudly. That was probably the only laugh I got in the episode.
How's a horse get there? Or something like that.
Yeah, I enjoyed the horse thing just briefly. That was a good laugh for me. But
that's good. Okay, so you got a laugh earlier on.
One laugh, yeah.
And
Yep.
then we have like the rest of the Calvin family who are not in a licorice jail. They are kind of like hiding around the stable corner
Yeah.
or whatever, and they're like, okay, what are we gonna do? What's the plan? And I guess that we should say at the end of the last episode they arrived by that horse.
This is true that Butter.
Yes. How
say
could
his
we forget
name.
Butter?
Yep. Yeah. So like, Gary's talking to Santa. They're in the cell together. We get a lot of Gary Santa interplay. Probably too much of a good thing with Gary. I would, in my opinion, diminishing returns. I really liked him the first time we saw him as like a grizzled, but you know, it's like the more you see it, the less power it has over you. Scott, he learns that the coat was lost and the sanctification process hasn't begun. This show adds more lore to things later on than anything I've ever seen. It's really funny.
You know, I guess that is part of what happens
Yeah.
in the first movie. But yeah, they didn't really say it explicitly as part of the process or whatever. Well, maybe they did. Maybe Bernard says that you put on the coat and something like that. So
Yeah, it's
I
just
guess maybe it's
the
a callback.
terminology. Yeah, it might be. Maybe Santa Claus scholars will correct us, of which there are many.
Santa Claus Scholars. Yeah, that should have been our podcast name.
The Santa Claus scholars. It's a rebrand. We get a lot of drones in this episode.
Yeah, what
which
did you make of that?
I mean, later on, there's kind of a funny drone thing with Cal. I don't know. It's like Simon tells the drones to like go get the coat. I don't know. It's fine. It's just in keeping with the show, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that the drones were sentient
Well,
until
no,
this
I don't,
moment.
Yeah, you're not. They don't do anything to set that up.
I thought that was a weird turn, but I guess he has to have some sort of army because all the elves are gone, and yeah, so he needs someone to do his bidding. He's not going to get his hands dirty, not Simon.
Evidently not. Grace tries to give her dad a present. I guess it was going to be the snow globe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But Simon yells at her, man. But
He's really
don't worry, he'll be redeemed very quickly. At the
very
end
quickly.
Of the episode.
Yeah, let's get to that eventually. But
Man. If we're jumping around a lot, that's because the episode does. Noel is like laying on a desk, but presumably Betty's desk, singing a very Betty Christmas, which is probably the only Christmas song you really get in this episode. So that's
does it
great.
feel very Christmassy to you?
No, I mean, even like at the end, you get the Rolling Stones song. It's like, couldn't this have been a Christmas song? Is this not a Christmas show? Noel and the Calvins meet up, and upon learning that Santa's trapped there, his voice gets really deep and like
So
changes.
weird. It's so weird.
That's like, yeah, I don't know. That's something that we hadn't seen before.
It's a nefarious side to him, I guess, and so his voice changes accordingly. But yeah, it's a bit jarring.
Yeah. Bars are made of licorice, sort of like a late reveal. Gary...
I got a couple laughs out of this. Like something about... Oh man, what did they say? We thought you were being tortured or something like that, and Scott's like, yeah, I am being tortured because he's with Gary. So
I'm talking to Gary.
That was my first laugh.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we learned later too that like you have to chew through that you can chew through it, and so they're gonna set to work, and then they like cut again.
You like licorice, Jordan?
I do like Twizzlers, yes.
But
I'm
black
not-
licorice?
No.
Does anybody like black licorice?
I like the original Twizzlers, and I like the Twizzler bites that are like strawberry flavored. Those are my favorite. Those two.
Gary and Simon Gary and Noel kind of get into it, and Gary's tinfoil hat falls off, and he immediately disappears. So I guess there was something to that.
I guess there was something. It was kind of a mental thing, right? You know, it was like, oh, I'm holding on to this for my Christmas spirit. Not that he has much Christmas spirit. It seems he's kind of I don't know. He's a bit gnarly, and yeah, I did like Noel's response to that. He's like, "We can point fingers later." He's just trying to play it off nonchalantly. But yeah, they get to chew him.
Gary's tinfoil hat is like those. I don't know what you call them, but they're like those copper-colored bracelets that people probably used to wear that are supposed to like help with your back. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like they're magnetic.
Yeah, it's like phony, but it's the power of suggestion. That's what the tinfoil hat is.
Yeah.
I got you 5 for Christmas.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Both arms and ankles, and then a spare. Noel eats through the bars. They get out.
Not just
like,
Noel.
the whole family.
The whole because like the
true.
reaction, right? Like everyone's kind of like, "Oh, it was terrible," but Cal, he's like, "I could go for some more. I'm starting to get hungry."
This Cal, he's such a riot, Jordan. What a goof.
He is a real treat. Yeah, so he enjoyed the food. He's like, I'm just getting started, and
He's just getting started.
he has a line about red licorice that I don't remember as well because it was black licorice. Yeah, as you mentioned, yuck.
He was like, I wish there was another cell with red licorice. And then the camera zoomed in and it was like, gosh, I'm so random.
They had a couple of those lines for him in this episode that I was like, did we need to do that? We kind of established Cal as not being so weird in the last episode, but
Clunkers.
He's back.
We should also say, I think this is the shortest episode of all 6, which...
It was like a tight 30.
Usually your finales are a
little extended.
A little more robust. Anyway, Simon needs foot soldiers to orchestrate his plan. What's his plan, really, ultimately? I guess
Find the coat. I guess he just needs someone to play defense. I don't know. Like, yeah, if you find foot soldiers that you can bend to your whim, of course you're going to use them. So, the drones told him that there were foot soldiers?
Yeah, he needs foot soldiers. We don't find out what they are for a second. Sandra goes and talks to a little animal, which comes to nothing.
Lewis. Yeah, he's going to help find the coat.
Okay, does he?
No, that's the last we see of Lewis.
Yeah,
I guess it's nice that they have they meet back up and everything, and now Lewis knows that she can talk to animals, so I guess that's good.
Yeah, that's great. Grace overhears the conversation about the coat, which I think also comes to nothing.
Yeah, I kind of thought, like, once they did that and Grace overheard it, that she would be the one who finds the coat, and she's the one who decides who Santa is going to, like, who's going to be Santa.
Yeah, she's not, and she doesn't.
Nope. She just heard.
So this scene is not important. This is another kind of funny scene for me where the drones are, they have, like, the lasers on Cal. You, like, think maybe are they going to shoot him? Not really, but, like, that's the idea. And he kind of talks him down, and we get a couple of scenes of him sort of having, like, heart to heart with the drones, which, as far as, like, drone humor goes, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, the bar's pretty low, I guess.
Yeah, it's drone humor, Jordan.
Yeah.
I got you another Christmas. It's 101 drone jokes to tell your friends.
Put that one up on Amazon right now, and you're going to sell out.
Chicken soup for the drone soul. So back to the henchmen. Are these guys, is this like a callback to Santa Claus 2? Okay, so they're trapped in a closet.
Mm-hmm. I guess Scott put them there instead of dismantling them, and he has to, like, Simon, like, puts in, there's a keypad on the door, and it's a song. I don't remember which song it is, but he presses the thing to make the tune, and he kind of looks back at, like, that was easy. And then, we see the toy soldier faces from, I guess is the second one.
I think so. That's what I wrote.
Yeah, he's the army of that, like, fake Claus.
Yeah. But they're not around very long, so don't worry. Mrs. Claus comes in, and she just kicks some butt, Jordan.
Drop to the beat.
Yeah, again, my note here, maybe a good time for a Christmas song, not whatever, like, weird public domain stuff they play here.
That's a famous song.
Oh, is it?
I just don't remember what it is.
Okay, but it's famous. We know that much.
It's like a 90s amp up tune.
All
but
right,
yeah,
so
she's like kicking kicking soldiers and taking names.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not very good, but what she says soon after is worse. Cal's having a heart-to-heart with the drones. The coat is crawling on its own in the hallway. Everybody kind of meets back up here near the end. And
why is the coat crawling like that?
No,
it looks so sad.
We have, like, the show tells us, what is this coat thing? Like, is it just, like, rejecting Simon because Scott's the rightful Santa? Like, we have no idea. This coat is just kind of on its own, doing its own thing. They never explain that.
Yeah, and we're never going to know.
But anyways, the really stupid line is, like, Scott looks in and sees that the henchmen have been, beaten down.
Dismantled.
And Mrs. Claus says, "Yeah, I took care of it the Chicago way."
I don't even think I heard that line.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what that means, but it's the Chicago way.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, Scott makes a like Mrs. John Wick joke as he enters
Yeah,
the
pretty cool.
yeah, real cool pop culture reference.
Yeah, it's is that Disney IP too? I don't know. Probably everybody owns everybody else, so there's probably some relationship there.
I haven't seen it on Disney Plus, but
Okay,
maybe
it's
it's on
just a matter.
Hulu or something. Who knows?
Well, but there is the Baby John Wick cartoon that they're trying to do.
There is. Yeah. The storyline looks a little strange, but
John Wick, the college years. He just all right, so everybody's together. We're in. This is another sort of like a couple episodes ago when there was a snowball fight. We got some like Western themed music.
I
This
did
is
like
that-
how they brought that back.
That was good. The coat's kind of in the middle of Simon and Scott and his family. It's we get the idea. Maybe we're gonna have like an old
Showdown.
a showdown, if you will, but we don't. They both kind of run toward the coat.
Well,
Did you have
La
something?
Befana spins in.
Yeah. So glad to have her back here at the end. It's a really
Here's
memorable
what
scene.
I will say that they did with the Christmas Witch. They subverted all of my expectations.
Go ahead.
I thought at some point she would make some sort of power grab or be some sort of villain or have some role to play besides like Santa supporter
Yeah.
or Scott supporter, but she doesn't. She just is the keeper of the coat. So
Yeah. Do we need her in this show? What ultimately does she do? She keeps
ultimately,
the coat.
she keeps the coat.
Couldn't the coat have just been hiding somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a coat closet maybe.
I did like seeing her get hit by the drone in the face. It's kind of funny.
Okay, yeah.
Not like not like funny in the way the show thinks it is, but just like a witch got hit in the face with a drone. It's like cross that off your bingo card kind of thing.
Oh yeah, you took a couple drinks.
I was like, whoa, yeah, a couple of real early morning drinks.
A couple drinks of maple syrup drinks.
Yeah. Simon tries to pick up the coat and burn it with a lighter. Coat slaps him.
Simon, just the worst.
Simon, moron, maybe? I don't know. Grace shows up, and now we got everybody here. You got the whole dang squad. She asks, "Are you the bad guy?"
Don't. Yeah, and we didn't mention this earlier, but there's a scene where Simon kind of puts her in her room.
Oh, yeah.
And says, like, he tries to explain to her, there's some bad people trying to take over, and Daddy's gonna stop them, or something like that. So he's trying to feed her a lie, but she sees through it.
Typical Simon rhetoric. Scott asks her what the best possible Christmas gift for her would be, and she says to spend time with her dad.
Ooh, instantly softens him.
He's like, whoa, I never thought of it that way. Even though the same thing was said like last episode, and I kind of ignored it, She shakes the Christmas globe, and it shows her favorite Christmas memory, which we already saw. No, we didn't. Did we see this?
This is kind of how the episode
show opens, right?
but it shows it a little bit more, and we get, like,
Okay.
details about what that scene is.
Okay.
And Scott, right before this, says, I think you're about to give your dad the best Christmas gift of all. and hands it over.
Yeah. It's the first year after the mom died. He didn't know what to do, so he just did everything.
He just tried. And she says, we were together. And that's how I knew we were going to be okay.
And it really affects him. He apologizes, and this is really it for the character.
Yeah. Redeemed.
It's super limp. We only see him like one more time.
And he gets hugged.
Yeah,
So.
he very quickly apologizes. The orb is black.
Well, I mean, I think Scott says something here, like, to
He says
also soften him. He says, like, sometimes we lose, like, adults lose our way or something like that. And is, like, kind to him when nobody should be kind to him. And I guess that's also supposed to be, like, part of the melting of Simon's heart, or his Grinch heart grows 3 sizes or something. I don't know, whatever analogy you want to use. But
Simon was Like, he was good, and then he very quickly became very bad, and then he very quickly becomes good again. This whole episode just kind of, especially when we get to the end, just feels like they ran out of time. The pacing has been so weird in the show, but I gotta say, like, as far as Simon v. Santa, I expected a little more for the conclusion of this sort of, conflict.
Yeah, they really built it up for a few episodes. He obviously was like pretty rotten, and then yeah, it just kind of fizzles at the very end. So it's kind of a disappointment.
Yeah. Scott says the world was more challenging, and I stepped down. I shouldn't have. He kind of takes.
He's taking some ownership. Yeah.
He takes a little bit of ownership for it, and then everybody hugs.
Everybody.
So it's all good. It's all good, man. And suddenly the globe changes, Jordan.
Yeah, and it's at like the moment of most despair. Like even Scott is like, we've lost the Christmas spirit, and then yeah, all of a sudden the globe changes.
What if the show ended like we've lost all the Christmas spirit credits?
And well, it'd be a cliffhanger for season 2.
It's true.
How do we get Christmas back?
Wow. Sparks kind of emit from the globe, and the elves return. We're talking the whole dang squad. Crouton, Edie. No Pontoon, though.
No Pontoon. Anybody else that we missed? The scientist elf?
I didn't see him. Was he back?
Maybe.
Okay.
And finally, like, Noel is just, as all the elves have returned, Noel is like, where's my Betty? Where's my Betty? Of course she reappeared back in, like, her office or something like that. Like, that's Betty through and through. Just a hard worker.
The whole dang squad's back.
They run to each other. They're calling their pet names. I didn't write them down, but, think honey buns.
Yeah, stuff like that. Could you explain this joke? So there's a scene right around here where La Bufana, aka the Christmas Witch, is talking to Mrs. Claus, and she says, "So he went back in time to the Yuleverse, and it was just like all men." And then Mrs. Claus is like, "Yeah, tell me about it." What's the joke?
The joke was like, there's never been a female Santa? Come on.
Okay. Has there been a female Santa?
I am not an expert. I know we are the Santa scholars.
Yeah, that's true.
But I am not an expert in Santa Claus lore. I haven't heard of any like old folk.
So the joke there is just like there was no important women in this flashback. Yeah. Okay, that's really good. 3 hours till Christmas. Wow, not very much time to put everything together here, but I think we all know they will. He puts on the coat and changes back.
I do like a whirl around him over and over again as he turns, and I don't know if you watched anybody else's face while that was happening, but there's
a lot of joy,
a lot of joy, but a lot of wonder at the same time. Some Christmas wonder.
It's good to finally have some Christmas wonder. Yeah, he puts on the coat and changes back. Noel, he wants to stay behind. He hasn't seen his wife in a long time, so he's gonna sit this one out, but. Fear not, because Scott's bringing the whole family.
That's right. We've been alluding to this. They haven't spent time together as a family in like 20 years, and this is how they're going to do it. So I think you said you can get everything that you want. That was one of your alternative titles. They are finally getting everything that they want. They're in the North Pole. Everyone's bought in. They're going to be together as a family, and they have gifts.
We'll talk about the message, like what message the show kind of sends at the end, but it's a little muddled because, you think about everybody kind of going back and having a pretty positive time in the real world, having purpose, and then, they get pulled back, but we can talk about that in a sec. Gary, there's a mention of bringing the whole family, and Gary thinks he's included in that.
Yeah, funny. I mean, again, you just take a lot of shots with Gary at this point.
It's true. Also, all the elves are volume shooters,
Yeah, that is true. There is a joke. I don't remember which scene now, but this also made me chuckle quite a bit from Gary. Scott is trying to make like a pun and says like there's no I in team, and he says there's no you in tomorrow. But the way that he said it with like such fierceness is what got me. It really rubbed him the wrong way, joking about his eye.
Yeah.
Also, there was a joke earlier where Gary's like, you probably want to know what happened to my eye. And Scott's like, no, I don't.
I know who your MVP is.
Yeah.
Cal goes to the snow globe room, which suddenly has, like, someone working the front desk. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't notice that.
That's never been a thing before, this scene. He wants to take out all the globes.
Yeah, he's got a plan, and he's been tasked by his dad to like everybody's got jobs to do now, right? So
Yeah.
like Sandra, go talk to the reindeer and get them back in the Christmas spirit so they can fly. Cal, you're gonna go, like, he's got the gift of presents or whatever, and so you go and figure out like all the presents for everybody, which one of those jobs seems harder than the other. But he's tasked with it, and you know what, he does deliver.
He delivers. Little Santa delivers. Cal shows up with a new outfit. How would you describe this? V for Vendetta Christmas or what?
Yeah, some sort of Santa ninja.
Yeah.
He's got like a plastic mask on. He's got an all red, like, tighter suit.
Silver, kind of like metallic mask almost. I don't know.
Also a Christmas hat, like a Santa hat.
Yeah, at least he got that going. And the camera like really like lingers on this. Like, hey,
This
you
is
guys-
funny. You
you
think
guys
this
see-
is hilarious, right?
you guys see this? This is funny, right? I would say this is the least funny episode. Maybe the jokes are pretty rough.
It starts off bad, and it
Yeah.
really sets a tone for the rest of the episode. So, yeah, it's tough. Did Mrs. Claus get anything to do in Scott's list of things for the family?
Nah, she's just there.
Yeah. Okay. So at
That's
least
the
like
biggest That's the biggest sacrifice. She went back and got a good job, and now she's just doing the same stuff again.
yeah, it's too bad she can't be a principal at the North
North-
Pole. These
North
elves don't
Pole
need to learn
Academy.
anything, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes people say the Lansing public schools are rough, but those North Pole public schools are even worse. Near the end we get another one. There's two jokes like this in the episode, and you shouldn't even have one. Sandra says they prefer to be called
Yeah,
the
and it's
reindeer.
like
They do it
Steve.
twice. Yeah, they want to be called blah 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 and Steve. They did it earlier in the episode. It wasn't funny the first time. This is where I feel Tim Allen's comedy hand kind of pressed down on the scale. Just
They
not
did this
funny
joke
at all.
twice? I don't remember this earlier.
Yeah, they did it earlier where it's like, I don't remember who it was. Not in relation to the reindeer, but something else they do. They prefer to be called. It's just kind of hack.
Okay.
We're in the sleigh. It's Christmas, and things are fast and furious to the end of the episode here. Cal arrives at Riley's house. Thank God.
Oh man, you know, it's nice that they get to wrap up their story. So this is the end of the night. So they've traversed the world, they've delivered everything, and everybody's pretty tired. And Scott's like, I need your help on this one, bud. And or I should say buddy. And yeah, he goes down, and he didn't realize it was Riley's house, so I guess he's never been there, or maybe the aerial view is what got him, or he's tired. I don't know. There's
Did
lots of
Scott
excuses.
realize? He must have.
Oh yeah,
right?
this was his plan all along. Don't count a Santa out. He gets in there and he's explaining to Riley what's going on, and she's believing it, you know, because she just saw the fireplace.
Yeah.
She sees him pull out the Loki Funko Pop,
Of course.
which I guess is different because everybody else, it seems like they're just getting, and they kind of show this earlier, everybody's
yeah.
getting the snow globes, which is the memories, and it's putting the Christmas spirit back in everyone.
Well,
they're
you could-
remembering what Christmas is about.
You could be forgiven for not remembering that because it's basically a line of, like, you know, they don't do a lot with it. You see him go to the snow globe room. There's very quickly like, I'm giving people a gift they didn't even want this year. And we see like one family open it, but it is
Oh,
the
there's
idea.
like 7 families, but yeah.
It's very quick though.
Yes, yeah, they're moving to families. Yeah, so back to Riley, like does he give her, he gives her favorite flower.
Is it
Yeah.
poinsettia or something?
Yeah, and so now she believes, and she like just goes all in for a kiss, which I think this is the first kiss for
Yeah, I think so.
the Cal Cute couple.
Cal cute.
And we see like they pan out a little bit and they're floating. So Cal's happy. It's magical.
Cal's happy, and then he goes up to the sleigh and he's like, "It's the best night of my life." And then Sandra's like, "Mine too, but in a less perverted way."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Also-
super
also-
pervy. Okay.
He's a pervy for getting a kiss. Then we have
Can I just pause for a second?
Yes.
Jordan, I thought for certain we were getting Judge Reinhold and Wendy here.
Oh, yeah,
This
we did
would
not
have
get them
been
at all.
the time to do it. I'll save it for my final thoughts, but like, come on, we gotta do this. These are like two favorite characters. We couldn't get them for one scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that, but that's too bad. And then they do mention while they're in the sleigh, like, you did make her forget, seeing Santa, and Cal did not. His first Santa screw up. And they're
Feels
like,
like-
what's the worst that could happen? Maybe that's the cliffhanger for season 2.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like we're leaving that open. Also, long distance relationship, it's hard, Jordan.
Well, there is the Mrs. Claus. I don't know. They're pretty young to get married. But he's technically not Santa yet. But they make it very clear what the line of succession is going to
It would be
be.
so weird if they got married.
Season
14.
2, there's, planning the wedding and all sorts of other stuff.
I
So.
really like that they, that season 2 pivot where the children get married. Simon's back home. He's still got his SC pajamas on, so kind of like you go to a nice hotel, it's something to remember.
They do say that they sent them home and they don't remember anything that happened at the North Pole.
Well, that's good. He can. It's nice
Which
that
I
you
don't
can,
know
you
if
can
that's
forget
good or is
the
that
worst
good or
thing you've ever done.
yeah, is that good or bad for Simon though? Because like eventually he comes back around to realize like what Christmas is about and what his family's about. Is he gonna try to continue this Christmas everyday dream that he had before?
Feels like a good lesson for him to remember that he learned. Also, okay, so like, what does he think happened the last year? Is that just like a black hole in his mind? He doesn't know.
These are unanswered questions.
Unanswered questions. All right. He's totally redeemed, though. I think that was a really satisfying conclusion for the Simon character. That was just a character they really had their hands around. They really understood it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we're back. Another successful Christmas.
There's a party, Bubbles.
There's a party.
And Betty's back to her old self. She says, listen, we only have 364 days left until the next Christmas. And we're behind schedule. And they kind of smile at each other. And they're just, they used to be a little bit at each other's throats, but they're just happy to be around each other now.
Yeah, that's it. It's a really abrupt ending. I couldn't believe it. Like, she says that, there's like 365 days to Christmas. He smiles. We cut to black. Like, I thought we had another couple of scenes here. It's roll credits fade to black on Chapter 6, A Christmas to Remember, a.k.a. A Christmas to Forget for me, Jordan. This ending was insane. Like, I guess we can just get into final thoughts here.
Yeah.
I thought that I'll do my highs first. I thought the heart to heart with the drone stuff was kind of funny, and I like that Rolling Stones song. I would have preferred that. We didn't mention that actually. Like when Cal is with Riley, we get the "You Can't Always Get What You Want" from the Rolling Stones. But it would have been nice if that was a Christmas song. So I like that song. Wish it would have been a Christmas song. And the heart to heart with the drone stuff is kind of funny. My lows. This is a really bad finale for this show, really for any show. It felt like they ran out of time. The ending is so abrupt and fast. Like, it's just from the time that Simon is redeemed to the end of the episode is maybe only like, if it's 4 minutes of screen time, I would be surprised. He does it's a successful Christmas. He saves Christmas with these snow globes. It's really kind of a yada yada over. We get back and there's a party and it's over. It's really, I was shocked by how fast this all went. Pacing has been a struggle with the entire show. I can talk about that in a second, but it feels like they ran out of time. Simon thing redeemed very quickly. Just super anticlimactic, that showdown. The Christmas witch's presence in this episode and all episodes, pretty non-essential. I think anytime your last episode is your shortest, you're kind of doing something wrong. No real Christmas music, not a lot of Christmas spirit, and I didn't get too many laughs. I thought this was a really rough ending, poorly paced, would have been okay with a longer episode, 10 minutes longer. Let's sit in this. Let's make sure the ending kind of makes sense after devoting 6 episodes to this. And then also just kind of what's the message here, like he goes back to the real world and the rest of his family sort of flourishes and he's sort of the odd man out. But now here we are back at the North Pole, and he's going to maybe include his family a little bit more, and everybody's supposed to be happy. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a strange final message to send. But
Yeah, I echo a lot of your thoughts. It was definitely one of the worst episodes, which is not good for a season finale. Usually that's the one, like they say in the title, to remember, but it was... And we talked about a lot of scenes in a short amount of time, and we left out a couple. Like, we didn't spend a lot of time on him talking about... there's like a scene with the elves in the control room, and they're all excited to be there. And there's a scene where he's kind of explaining that he used to think Christmas was a one-man show, and now it's a family thing, and all these sorts of things that we kind of left out. And that's because they crammed it all in way too short a time.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why they felt like they had to make it short or made it like that or wrap it up so quickly. But yeah, Simon being redeemed so quick and it's very inconsequential, and then he doesn't remember any of it. I don't really understand that whole arc.
No.
They're taking a lot of like quick shots with Cal and Gary in this episode, trying to get people to laugh. Like, that's their main lever to pull for laughs. And, a couple of them do land, but there's just a lot. And, there's a lot of characters. We'll talk about like what characters we think were good and not. But I think what you say about the Christmas witch, I don't, like, she's not necessary to the story, unfortunately. So, like, give her more to do, make her more of a plot point. I don't know. Like, have there be two villains, where it's the Christmas Witch and Simon, and they all, I don't know, whatever. But it does not work out that way. The episode does not work out in general. And it's tough to follow the last episode, too, because I feel like it was pretty clearly the best episode of the series so far. So you kind of had our expectations up, and then this is what you delivered, and it's unfortunate. So... not a great episode, but do you want to move on? You wrote out 5 or 6 questions that were kind of taking the season as a whole. Yeah. Or perhaps the series. I'm not sure that this gets renewed, but we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, so overall questions, we'll do these. This is about, all 6 episodes. So my first question for you, Jordan, was this a success? Did it prove necessary?
What do you mean by necessary? Because...
I'll answer first. Just like, is this... I'll just give my answer and then you can kind of see. So, was this a success? I think it's hard to say what success means for something like this show. I don't feel like anybody talked about it. Like, I didn't feel like there was any buzz around this, except for when they first announced it and maybe dropped the trailer. Like, I don't know anyone that's watching this. I feel like it's having no, like, cultural impact, even though it's coming out around Christmas. It'll probably be watched a lot over the next couple of years. The ending is really bad. So as far as like a storytelling, it wasn't a success for me. Wasn't necessary. Like, I mean that in the context of, as far as like the Santa Claus canon, like, was this a worthwhile addition? Did it necessitate its existence? I'm not sure it did.
I feel like it could have, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think like this revival stuff is never very essential. I ultimately don't know if this is a lot better than the sequels even, it's a question I have later on for us to rank them. In the beginning, I thought that with the sort of talent behind it and the Disney Plus sort of nature of it, there'd be a little bit more money. And I just thought that it seemed like it was going to be sort of a first-class production. I'm not sure that it was. It had potential. I kind of contend that if this is a 100-minute movie, it works a lot better. So for me, I don't think it was a success, and I don't think it's a necessary addition to the Santa Claus canon.
Ouch. Yeah, I think the unfortunate part about it is that I was kind of interested in the storyline, like to start with. And as you said, there was some interesting characters and whatnot. And even the series did have its moments. So it's unfortunate to have it end this way and us to have kind of a low view of the 6-episode run. But a success, I don't know. I guess you'd have to ask the Disney Plus executives what they think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to get watched a ton. I'm sure they're happy with it. Do you feel like it? But do you feel it's had any cultural impact? Is anybody talking about this? Does it matter?
There's only one person I know who's talked about it with me. So yeah, I don't.
I know it's hard for stuff to break through. Like there's just
especially now. There's just so much of it.
There's so much stuff, and there's a big new show every week. But man, I don't
It's just
feel like
it's not showing
important.
up on any podcasts you listen to. It's not showing up on any other things.
Yeah,
I did
don't
look
know.
up real quick like a couple of YouTube videos that were maybe doing recaps like we did, and I was like, all right, well, this is kind of like when we did Home Improvement after the fact. There's just not a lot out there, and
Right.
it's live right now, right? Like
Yeah.
when Home Improvement was live, it was a huge stinking deal.
Yeah.
And even when the Santa Claus, the first one, was live and stuff, that was
Even
a
the
big
sequel.
deal.
I mean,
Yeah.
everybody talks about how bad the sequels are. They made a lot
know.
of money.
Yeah.
You know? So, I don't know. Question 2. I'll let you take this one first. How is the handling of the legacy characters?
I was thinking about this a little bit today. I feel like Scott kind of morphed a bit than who he was, even in like the first film. He's like a little bit more last man standing type of, and if, like these are the writers and these are the jokes and stuff like that. So I'm not that surprised. That's the character that he most recently played, and I think he maybe mentioned before that that's the most like him of the characters that he played.
Yeah.
So it kind of felt like they did veer that. He has his moments of like being Santa and like having that type of attitude.
Do you mean
but
like the snarkiness? Or?
yeah, the snarkiness. There's
Okay.
a little bit more like snarkiness than
I agree.
I remember, and I know
Yeah.
there's a little bit of that in the first Santa Claus as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little bit different. But he probably comes out like the best of all the characters that are legacy characters,
Yeah.
besides Bernard, of course. Bernard's batting 1,000. So, who else is legacy? Mrs. Claus, man, I don't know what to make of Mrs. Claus in this. She's kicking toys. She's happy to be back in Chicago.
She's really goofy.
Yeah, she's a little zany.
Yeah.
Kind of a zany Mrs. Claus, and she kind of is riding a little bit of a roller coaster where she's like, I hate being Mrs. Claus, and it feels so stifling, and then all of a sudden she's embracing it and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Who else is legacy?
Charlie, Bernard, etc. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Charlie and Bernard, like, we get small doses, so I think it's hard to screw those up. You know? So I think they did fine. I'm glad they were included. You mentioned a couple people that were sad that we missed.
Yeah, I can't figure out why that couldn't have worked out for a scene. I don't know. Maybe they reached out and they said no, or it was a money thing. But really surprised that didn't happen.
Yeah, it was a bummer. Any other? I mean, there's no Chet, so like he just disappeared, which is strange.
I think he prefers to be called Steve.
Maybe
No,
I don't know. There's no Chet. They don't do a lot of reindeer jokes, I guess. Which they were characters. So
Those
I don't know.
are they probably like if you watch those first 3 films, it's like all reindeer jokes. So maybe they just felt like there wasn't a lot of I don't know, a lot left to do.
What other legacy characters are there? I guess there's really not that many more because a lot of we had a lot of elves that kind of outgrew it.
Yeah,
And they don't come back, so we get a lot of new elves, and we've seen Charlie, we've seen Bernard.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I think that I would say the handling of the legacy characters is pretty good. I enjoyed the Charlie and Bernard sequences, both of them. Like you said, it's small doses, hard to screw up. Maybe could have used more Bernard. Don't think I needed more Charlie, but I was glad he got to have a scene. You're right about the Santa being like the last man standing character is a good thought, a good note. I hadn't really considered that, but it does seem to be the persona Tim Allen is interested in taking on later in his career. This sort of like snarky, smartest guy in the room kind of. I don't know. I just feel like that's what he kind of wants to be seen as. The Mrs. Claus stuff's a little bit of a mess, but that's not a character I have a ton of fondness for anyway, so I guess it's like...
Not super memorable, yeah. And she doesn't really get a lot to do in, I feel like, the older films. So,
no,
yeah,
so it's on par with that, I guess. As far as like Easter eggs or references to the old films, I think there's just enough of that. They're not too reliant on it, and they're not completely ignoring it, but I think the legacy character stuff works pretty well on the whole.
I'm pretty upset that Jack Frost didn't come back, so...
Jack Frost. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they didn't bring back the Christmas Witch is enough of that kind of thing. You know,
Yeah.
like the whatever League of
Legendary characters or whatever.
yeah, at least they didn't do that. What are your overall thoughts on the new characters, Jordan? I can start on this one since you started last one.
Okay.
I think Betty and Noel are fine, kind of forgettable ultimately. I wouldn't say any of the other elves did much to stand out. I felt early on like they were sort of trying to set up the Edie character, and then she like
disappeared pretty
literally
quickly.
disappeared. So that didn't happen. Not much happened there. As much as I like Cal Penn, I think the Simon character is kind of a mess. He's really good. He's really bad. He's really good without really much explanation as to like why. He does some like pretty nasty things in the show, and then it's all okay at the end. So a pretty abrupt and dark heel turn for a guy who seemed pretty decent. Christmas Witch. We've talked about that. I have no idea what the point of that was or why that couldn't have been someone else or why the character needed to exist at all. I would say on the whole, the show kind of struggled to provide me with new characters that I cared much about. My favorite stuff was with like Bernard and Charlie and all the old characters. So that's sort of a failing on the show because we get a lot of new characters and they get a lot of chances to be funny and a lot of jokes and like Cal and Sandra. None of that really worked for me. Sandra doesn't have much to do. Cal gets a lot of chances to be funny, and I don't think many of them land. So, and I already talked about the not having Judge and Wendy, but that's sort of the last answer. So, what do you think about these new characters, Jordan?
Well, I think the biggest omission that you had was no mention of Gary.
Gary Erasure. Yeah, sorry.
I can't believe it. Cannot believe it. He probably is my favorite new character. Okay. I feel like they all have moments. There's moments where like I really like Cal, and there's moments where I thought Noel was, especially earlier on, like the first episode of Noel. I think we like Noel, and then kind of becomes tiring. And then he has like weird stuff at the end where his voice changes, and it's like what's going on here. And then we also have. I had some moments with Betty. I was like, okay, she's kind of a foil, and then she becomes a little endearing, and yeah, whatever. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not as hard on them as you are, but ultimately they're just like taking a lot of shots, and they're not as memorable as the old legacy characters. Which maybe that's just.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect them to like bring somebody new in that was going to be better or that I was going to like more than, but I do think the people they brought in didn't add a lot to the overall mythos, I guess.
So. I will never forget Gary.
You will not. You really liked Gary. Yeah. They kept giving you more Gary. You were like, yeah, I'll take
keep coming. Keep coming.
All right. Rank the Santa Claus content. 1, 2, 3 show. Starting with, go worst to best.
It's hard because I don't, number 1 is so different than 2 and 3 that it's hard for me to remember exactly what went on. And I can go first. Well, it's funny. I wish I remembered where I ranked 1, 2, and 3 because I feel like, did I rank 2 and then 3, or did I do 3 and then 2? Because I like Martin Short. I don't remember.
I'll go, Jordan. I didn't ask for your explanation. I asked for your ranking.
Well, I'll give you a ranking then. Are you ready?
All right. Worst to best.
Santa Claus 3 is the worst, I think.
Okay.
If I recall. And then this, and then 2, and then 1.
Okay, I have a different ranking. Worst, Santa Claus 2. Third, show. Second, Santa Claus 3. Best, Santa Claus 1. I think that Martin Short in Santa Claus 3 is just... I think it's better than anything in this show.
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, I probably liked that better anyway, but...
I think we both ranked it 1, 3, 2 when we did it, but, rankings
If that's
change.
the case, then that's where I'm at. Yeah, okay. One of those movies is the worst, and then this... At least it has its moments.
Yeah. So 2... So we're both agreeing 2, show, 3, 1.
Sure.
I kind of had a last-minute addition. Like, if you were to choose an MVP of this show, it would just be Tim Allen, right?
Yeah, I don't think you really have any other choice.
Yeah, okay. And then the last question.
Maybe Bernard.
Honestly, maybe. Yeah. Crouton. No. The last question: are we done with Tim Allen as Santa Claus? Before I watched this episode, I had typed yes. Now that I watched this,
now I am uncertain. So
there's just a lot of. I mean, it's such a fast, abrupt ending. You feel like you'd want to have a better send off for the character, and they didn't really. I mean, it's implied that like Cal is the next Santa Claus,
Sure.
but they didn't spend a lot of time on that. So
there's a lot for that guy to learn.
I mean, I think that they end the show in a way where it's like the showrunners and probably Tim Allen would like a second season, or that they're certainly leaving the door open for it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. What would that plot line be? Maybe, I don't know, like this time Scott, instead of being ready to let go, is having a hard time letting go or something. I don't know. But I totally agree. I thought, okay, this is it. Like, this is a series finale. I don't care what it says. And then I watched it and I was like, I'm not sure. Like,
Yeah.
it left a lot on the table and a lot to be desired. So maybe they do.
Would you
Run it
want
back.
another season?
My hope, yes, I would want one just because I want them to do better than that.
I'm of two minds. Like
It'd be
I would-
harder
you know.
to get the legacy characters involved, so I think that would be hard.
It's true. I would like. Okay, you're right. A better send off. This was a really bad finale, and it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth for the show overall. And I enjoy us having something to talk about, so I'd like it in that way. I would want them to do a much different show than what this was. It's just like I don't. It would be the same people, so I fear it'd be more of the same. But second season, I don't know. They're probably doing more with like Christmas Witch and Mythos and these other characters, but there's certainly a lot of ornaments left in the Christmas tree. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went back, but I think it's going to depend on just like public. Are people watching this? The reviews are like kind of middling, but that's to be expected. It would depend on just the bottom line, and we don't have the numbers, Jordan.
We don't have the numbers.
So
All we know is that we did 6 episodes. We talked about it for about 6 hours or so.
it's true.
And those are the numbers I care about.
Those are the numbers, yeah. I would say, if I had to say right now, will this show get a second season? I would say it will not. So, that's my...
Time will tell. If you hear from us again, you'll know they had a second season.
Yeah, that's the only way we're ever going to talk again, is if it's the Santa Clauses. It was categorized as a limited series, but... I don't know. I think they
Like
would
I said,
love
it
to
said
do
season
more.
finale when I looked on the thing, so they're leaving that door open.
They're leaving that door open.
The
All
door
right,
to the
Jordan.
Yuleverse is wide open.
All men, unfortunately. I want to talk about some reviews here. So let's see. On Rotten Tomatoes, the show has right around a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics and a 64% from the audience, which seems a little low, but so a few critics. I got to start with Brett White, Jordan. He's our friend of the pod.
Naturally, yeah.
So these are a couple negative ones. The idea that Santa is losing his magic due to a lack of Christmas spirit is one that's been done many times before, and it's one that families already rewatch every single year in a little movie called Elf. That's Brett White from Decider. I mean,
We mentioned that a couple times how
Yeah.
they're kind of lifting some things, but
there's not that many things you can do with Christmas. So like, I'm not.
I didn't mind that so much. It's
I don't
just,
know. Did Elf invent the Christmas spirit? That like, I don't know. Yeah, but let's see. Kevin Carr from Fat Guys at the Movies said, "Not unlike the sometimes cringeworthy sequels, this series often tries too hard, but still manages a modicum of Christmas cheer." Kind of a middling one. Brian Lowry, CNN. The Santa Clauses doesn't bother trying to reinvent the sleigh, but it does splash a new coat of paint on it, mostly in agreeable and mildly clever ways. And lastly, Robert Lloyd from the Los Angeles Times. Respectable, fairly amusing holiday entertainment for anyone who would like to start their Christmas now.
respectable. You would say mildly funny.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Overhead shot of the
What
table.
a job to have to work for CNN and watch the Santa Clauses and write a review.
Yeah, it's like your desk is next to a guy who's covering like
the election or something.
Ukraine or something. It's like, yeah, I gotta watch the. It's
Santa
funny,
Claus.
yeah.
You see this? You see Gary?
I've heard a lot of like conversations in the CNN newsroom have been Gary related the last couple months.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, I think they accidentally let it slip out in one of their stories. They mentioned like Gary the Elf. It was very strange.
Yeah, it was a typo, but it was good.
Was it really a typo though?
Is it a typo if you're mentioning Gary ever? So the reviews are middling. Let's hear what the people have to say about this.
Our people, right?
No, on
Our
Rotten
people
Tomatoes.
don't have anything to say.
Jen S said, "The writing is atrocious. The original film is heartwarming fun, and everything that came after has tarnished its legacy, with each new entry being worse than the last. And this is no exception. The series is a far worse offender, in fact, for changing the entire premise of the film franchise. I'm going to pretend this doesn't exist."
Oh, it's kind of a Harry Potter cursed child type of situation there.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking
Tony
about.
P. Think they did a good job on the series so far. Enough nostalgia and true to the spirit of the original. Great casting choices of recognizable faces and some new ones who have filled the roles very well. The Santa Clauses has been a welcome surprise, and hopefully they'll do a second series the following Christmas. Glenn A. said, "Filmed with bad acting, a very weak storyline, and minimal humor. It was as if this was a desperate attempt to get a laugh by force."
Oh, ouch.
And the last one from Matthew, the great Matthew M. "I was a little dubious going into it, but Santa Clauses does well on basically all fronts. It's very well acted, has good humor throughout, continues the previous story while adding fresh advancements. It's how to continue something the right way."
Wow. So just a little bit of everything.
Everybody's all over the place with this show, and I feel like I was no different. You were, on the whole, probably a little more positive, but I'm sure you think it has its faults as well.
Oh, definitely.
All right. Should we get into the social media aspect of the
I
show?
think we oughta.
All right.
Can we start by saying last episode we mentioned a fan who wanted to generously give to us, and boy did they deliver. So just shout out to Diane McCarty for supporting the show, and your money will be put to really good use for the podcast, just keeping it alive for everyone else to hear. So
Yeah, the money helps us host. So thank you, Diane. That's really nice. A lot of people say they're going to give money, but
you put your money
said
where
it,
your mouth is.
and you did it. So we appreciate that. To Twitter. All right. I got a couple polls here, Jordan. Pretty excited for these polls.
I've never been more excited.
Who's your favorite new character introduced in the Santa Clauses show? Not a lot of votes on this one. Only 8. I just don't think a lot of people are watching this.
I agree. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It's people are too busy at Christmas. They don't have time to watch this 6-episode run.
0% said The Christmas Witch. 0% said Simon Chosky. 37.5% said Noel. 62.5% said Betty. Of those,
Wow.
who you picking? I guess you probably would pick Gary.
I mean, I definitely would have put Gary. I don't know why you didn't include him on the poll.
Forgot.
Probably Noel.
Okay. Favorite type of Christmas cookies? 14 total votes. 7.1% said peanut butter bowl. 7.1% said Russian tea cakes. 14.3% said peanut butter blossom. 71.4% said sugar cookies. People sure do love sugar cookies, Jordan.
I mean, I just had 3 last night.
Wow. What else we got? I tweeted for our last episode that it was episode 4, not episode 5. Someone did correct me, so
As they should.
Thank you for that.
That's embarrassing.
People don't send us a lot of direct things, but I was able
They're
to be
mostly
corrected.
critical.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Twitter's for, telling someone they messed up. Scott Moore said, "Just listened to your episode of you guys reviewing the first episode of the Santa Clauses and heard a view say they were binging your show." And heard a view. I'm not sure I understand that. I'm doing the same. I have a lot of time on my hands since I delivered a DoorDash full time. So
Nice.
thanks for listening. I feel like we've gotten a few new listeners out of this, so that's overall pretty positive.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad that more people have to listen to us for 250 episodes.
Hey, it's a choice.
That first
but we-
season's a slog.
We'll talk about that with a new iTunes review in a second. Jeff Beers sent us a shirt he found on Etsy. It's like a 90s shirt. It says "Caution, Man with Tool." It's an XL, but he thought we might be interested. I like the shirt. It's $40. I told him too rich for my blood, but you could probably afford it if you wanted to.
Oh, I have 20.
Okay. All right. Well, there we have it. Otherwise, I don't have anything else on social media. You can continue to follow the show at Home and Podcast on Twitter. But, without new episodes, I probably won't be tweeting as much. But every once in a while, I pop in there and have some fun. So I have an iTunes review.
Oh, that's right. You told me there was an iTunes review.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear this.
I'm losing my voice here. It's the best home improvement podcast, and this is from La Fonda on September 9th, 2022. Discovered Home and Podcast about a year ago, and have been binging it ever since. I have about 10 episodes left, and I'm already considering running it back from the top.
That's a bold choice, LaFonda.
Audio quality drastically improves after the first season or so. Hope they never stop uploading occasional episodes.
I mean, we always have a reason to.
It's nice to hear. LaFonda, if I could give you some advice, take a break. Don't run it back from the top.
You gotta let the show breathe, Yeah,
give yourself some breathe.
I would love to hear LaFonda's top episodes that we put out there.
Yeah, LaFonda, if you're listening, tell us some of your favorite episodes.
Not of the show, episodes that we did. What made you laugh the most?
Yeah, LaFonda, what did you like that we did? Tell us.
I need some positive reinforcement.
I mean, I don't know. We're getting money. We're getting compliments. I don't know. We might have to...
My head's getting too big.
It's getting too big. That's really it, Jordan.
Just like the abrupt ending to the episode. Here's an abrupt ending to a podcast.
Well, I'm closing the book on chapter 6.
Listeners cannot see you closing this fictional book, but
I closed it.
Well, you keep opening it too, so it's a bit confusing.
What page am I on? I don't know. Oh, geez, crazy. Oh, Jordan, we did it. We came back. We delivered.
Now I can let you go to Greece.
I can go to Greece finally. We came back and we immediately were the best podcasters again. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly you can get back up to the top of the charts.
Man, I'm seeing on Twitter that Tim Allen's coming to Milwaukee February 24th.
Book your tickets. Maybe I'll fly in for that.
Yeah, okay. His tickets are expensive. I don't know. So I always feel like it's $100 to go see Tim Allen.
Wow.
Too rich.
What do you want him to be?
20?
Did I tell you I bought some tickets for Martin Short and Steve Martin are coming to Orlando in April?
Have you seen them before?
I have only seen, I think they had a Netflix special, right? Or something like that.
You didn't tell me that. That's exciting.
Yeah, it means in April, so there's some time. But yeah, I'm excited to go see them.
I saw they hosted Saturday Night Live together, but I didn't watch it. So.
Only Murders in the Building podcast coming up next.
I don't
a podcast about a podcast about a podcast.
I don't like that show as much as everybody else. I tried. I wanted to. You like it?
I like it more than this.
Yeah, I probably do too. Well, Jordan, it's been a lot of fun doing this.
It has been. It's been a great 6-episode run. And
I know. It went by fast.
It did. I couldn't believe we were already on the last episode. So
I'm rooting for a second season so we can do this again. It'd be a nice December tradition, but I'm not going to hold my breath because I don't know. I just don't.
Might not be a lot of fans clamoring after this one.
Yeah, I don't know, but I have a feeling you and I will be back sometime to do another episode of Home and Podcast.
We gotta treat our fans eventually. So
we gotta. People are clamoring for it. So when that'll be or what that is to be determined.
Stay tuned on Twitter.
Yeah, you gotta stay tuned on Twitter. I've always wanted to do an episode on the E True Hollywood Story for Home Improvement.
It's ready.
We've been circling that for a while, and I'm sure they're gonna deliver just some really unique behind the scenes stuff. So
stuff that hasn't been out there for 20 years.
Yeah, right. But Jordan, it's been a pleasure talking to you. So Jordan, thank you for joining me. Listeners, thank you for listening. And I guess I should say, take care and have a Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Take care, everybody.